Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're living today in what's being called as the post-truth era, where emotive arguments and personal beliefs and worldviews matter more and shape public perspectives more than objective truths and objective facts. And I'm sure you've all heard this adage that a lie can travel halfway around the world before the truth even has a chance to put its shoes on. And nowhere is this truer than on social media. And as you've heard already, we saw this last summer in the riots that swept Britain. The lie that went around, and I'll call it a lie, we can call it fake news, misinformation, or disinformation, but at the end of the day, these are just barefaced lies that are happening. That lie was that a Muslim immigrant killed 3 innocent schoolgirls in Southport. And we already know that there's anti-Muslim and anti-immigrant sentiment in this country. What we say and what we do online has real-world impacts. And what was the impact of this lie on social media? We saw hotels being attacked, mosques being targeted, Muslims being threatened, shops vandalized and looted, not to mention the thousands of pounds of damage to public property. Fake news, misinformation, lies disrupts the peace of society. And studies have shown that fake news can still influence a person even if they know that it's false. Because as long as it complies with their worldview, their existing beliefs, then they're going to share it, even if they know it's false. And Oxford University recently also found that although only 20% of fake news stories were produced or shared by prominent personalities, famous people and individuals, they made up 70% of the total engagements on social media. So what we say and what we do online has real-world impacts. And when governments do it, because it's not just on social media, it's not just us individuals, when governments do it through government propaganda or fake news or lying, then those lies, they cost lives. How many innocent people have been killed because we were led to believe that a certain country should be bombed because it is a threat to us? Those children should be killed, the infrastructure should be dismantled of that country because they have WMDs or nuclear weapons, whereas there was no such evidence for it. Or that a hospital should be destroyed because a terrorist is hiding there, again, without any evidence. So today, lies and fake news and propaganda is being used as an excuse, as a justification to commit atrocities. And then the media parrots this. The media amplifies it and just repeats these lies and this fake news. And some of you might have heard this journalistic adage, which is that if Bob is saying that it's raining outside and Jane is saying it's snowing outside, no offense to any Bob or Jane, by the way, it's not my job as a journalist to quote those two. It's my job to look outside the window and go outside and then report what the reality is. As a Muslim journalist who's worked at the BBC for a number of years, the values of my faith have inspired me in my journalism. And often people think that journalism and religion are opposed to each other, because journalism, they say it's what you can prove, cold hard facts, what you can observe, and religion, they say it's belief in the unseen, it's supernatural, it's unprovable. But I disagree. The values and principles of both journalism and religion are pretty much the same. In journalism, we rely on eyewitness statements. We rely on testimony. In religion, we also rely on testimony, the testimony of the truthful people, the testimony of the prophets, the testimony of the believers. Islam teaches us to reject false testimony. In the Holy Quran, we're told that if an unrighteous person brings us some news or some information, then before acting on it, before sharing it, before doing anything, we should verify it and we should investigate it fully, lest we harm other people and then regret it later. And that's the verse that was read out just earlier, and it's also on the backdrop here. In journalism, we're told to report without fear or favor. In religion, we're taught only to fear God. and to be fearless in the pursuit of truth, and that lying is a major sin, whereas truth is a great moral quality. In journalism, it's the same. If you lie, if you make up a quote, if you make up a story, that's a sackable offense. So both journalism and religion have these principles and values, upholding truth, upholding justice, standing up for the oppressed, and standing up for human rights. And it's these values which we try to instill in our journalism at Analyst News, which is the organization I'm working for. It's a non-profit, grassroots, independent, volunteer-based newsroom where we try to champion justice, human rights, and truth, and these principles, free from the corporate influence, the financial pressures, and the political leanings which have compromised so many other newsrooms. Because fake news divides society and polarizes people. And religion tells us how to conduct ourselves online, in person and online. In the Holy Quran, we're told to speak to men kindly. But even more than that, we read in the Holy Quran that God told Moses, peace be upon him, that go to Pharaoh and speak to him a gentle word, speak to him with gentle speech. Now, on the face of it, this sounds very strange. Pharaoh was the arch enemy of Moses. Pharaoh was a tyrant. And the belief systems and the worldviews of both Moses and Pharaoh were completely divergent and misaligned. So why is God telling Moses to speak to him gently? Today, in our world, we're living in a polarized society. We're living in an age where people have strong opinions, strong views. Everyone disagrees. The gap between right and left is increasing. The very next part of that verse, God says, perchance that he may take heed or he may listen. This is a message to us that doesn't matter how much we disagree in society, it doesn't matter how divergent our views are, if we start our conversations with gentleness, with respect, with kindness, then we can build bridges and understanding and work towards restoring the peace of society, which today has been tarnished by the scourge of fake news. Thank you.